thought I was alone, but someone was still here. Nightmare 1. When Eric transferred to our department, no one thought much of it. People moved teams all the time. He was quiet, focused, professional. At first, he started asking small questions. How long I'd worked there, what projects I handled, whether I liked the team, normal conversation. Then the compliments started. You're the most organized person here. You always know exactly what to say in meetings. You make this place easier to deal with. I kept things polite, professional, short, but he kept trying. Every day, he'd bring coffee, offer help, start conversations, even when I gave one-word answers. Eventually, I told him directly, I prefer to keep things work-related. He nodded, said he understood. But things didn't stop. They just changed. He stopped talking as much, but I'd catch him looking at me, constantly, during meetings, across the room, even in reflections of computer screens. Then strange things started happening. Files I was working on would already be open when I logged in. Documents would be pre-organized before I touched them. Emails drafted, but never sent. Then one day, I arrived at my desk and noticed a sticky note. No name. No handwriting I recognized. Just a message. You don't have to do everything alone. I threw it away. The next day, another note appeared. You work too hard. Then another. You deserve better. I reported it to IT, thinking maybe someone had accessed my computer, but nothing unusual showed up. Then, one evening, I forgot my headphones at my desk. When I returned to the office after hours, Eric was sitting there, in the dark, at his desk, across from mine. No computer on, no light, just sitting. He looked surprised to see me, said he was finishing something, but there was nothing on his desk. The next morning, HR called me in. Apparently, Eric had been documenting interactions with me for months, writing detailed notes about conversations I barely remembered, tracking when I arrived, when I left, what I wore, who I spoke to. He believed we had a connection that I just hadn't acknowledged yet. After he was let go, I learned something that still unsettles me. He had specifically requested a transfer into our department because he had seen me once, months earlier, in the company cafeteria. If that one made you uncomfortable, wait until you hear how far the next coworker went to stay involved in someone's life. And if you enjoy true stories like this, subscribe to Nightmare Central, because the next nightmare might be even closer than you think. Nightmare 2. I started a new job at a mid-sized insurance office just outside the city. It was one of those places where everyone kept mostly to themselves, polite but distant. The kind of environment where you could work for years and still not know much about the people sitting 10 feet away. That's why it stood out when Daniel introduced himself on my first day. He seemed friendly enough, maybe a little overly enthusiastic, but I figured he was just trying to be welcoming. He asked normal questions at first, how long I'd been in the industry, whether I liked the commute, things like that. But by the second week, he was greeting me every morning before I even reached my desk. Traffic wasn't too bad today, huh? It caught me off guard. I had mentioned my commute once, casually, days earlier. I brushed it off. Then one morning he said, "You usually get coffee before work, right? Didn't see you carrying one today." That one made me pause. I did usually stop for coffee, but I'd never told him that. I started noticing small things. If I arrived late, he noticed. If I left early, he noticed. If I wore something new, he noticed. It felt harmless, until it didn't. One afternoon, I stayed late finishing a report. The office was mostly empty when Daniel walked past my desk. "You don't normally stay past 5:30, he said casually. I hadn't realized he knew that. The next day, I tested something. Instead of stopping for coffee at my usual place, I went somewhere completely different. When I walked in, Daniel looked confused. "No latte today." That's when I realized he hadn't just noticed my routine. He had memorized it. Over the next week, the comments became more specific. "You talked to your sister on the phone yesterday, right? You seemed upset after lunch Tuesday. You usually listen to podcasts, not music." He was observing everything, every habit, every detail. Then came the moment I couldn't ignore anymore. I came back from lunch and noticed my notebook had been moved slightly on my desk. Inside, one of the pages had been folded down. I hadn't done that. Later that day, Daniel stopped by my desk and casually referenced something I had written inside that notebook. Something deeply personal, something no one should have seen. I began locking everything away before leaving each day. Then one evening, as I walked to my car, I noticed someone sitting in the vehicle parked 2 rows away. It was Daniel, engine off, just sitting there, watching. The next morning, HR informed me he had been terminated. Apparently, I wasn't the first person who had reported feeling uncomfortable, but I still think about something he once said. "You're predictable. Once you know what to look for, some obsessions grow slowly." But the next story shows what happens when someone refuses to accept rejection at all. Make sure you stay until the end, because Nightmare 3 is the most disturbing of them all. Nightmare 3. Melissa worked 2 cubicles down from me. She was quiet, polite, and incredibly helpful. When I started struggling with a complicated project, she offered to stay late and walk me through the process. I appreciated it. Work felt less stressful knowing someone had my back. We started chatting more often. Lunch breaks, quick conversations before meetings. It felt normal. Until she started referring to me as her best friend. I laughed the first time she said it. We had only known each other a month, but she kept saying it. "My best friend is coming with me to lunch. My best friend helped me with that report. My best friend and I think the meeting should be rescheduled." It felt fast, too fast. Then she started inserting herself into my plans. If I mentioned grabbing dinner with someone, she'd ask where. If I talked about weekend plans, she'd ask to come. At first, I thought she was just lonely. Then the messages started. Every morning, every evening, sometimes late at night. If I didn't respond, another message would follow. "You okay? Did I do something wrong? Are you mad at me?" Then one weekend, I told her I was visiting family out of town. She seemed disappointed. On Monday morning, she asked, "How was the drive?" I froze. I had never told her I was driving. Later that week, I mentioned a restaurant my sister and I had tried. Melissa smiled. "I know. I saw the photos. I never posted them publicly." That's when she admitted she had found my sister's social media account, then followed her, just to see pictures of me. She said it like it was normal, like it was expected. Things escalated quickly after that. If I spoke to other coworkers, Melissa would go quiet. If I ate lunch with someone else, she'd ask why she wasn't invited. Then came the day she left a small gift on my desk. Inside was a framed photo of me, taken at work, from across the room. I never saw her take it. I started distancing myself after that. Short responses, polite but distant. She noticed immediately. The messages became emotional. "You're abandoning me. I thought we were closer than this. You're the only person who understands me." One evening, I stayed late, hoping to finish work without distraction. When I left the building, Melissa was standing outside. She smiled like nothing was wrong. I figured we could walk out together. I stopped walking. "How did you know I was still here?" I asked. Melissa looked confused, almost hurt. "You always stay late on Thursdays when reports are due," she said softly. I had never told her that. I hadn't even realized I followed that pattern myself. I tried to keep my voice calm. I didn't mention I was staying late today. Her smile didn't change. "You didn't have to." We walked to the parking lot in silence. I could feel her watching me, waiting for me to say something reassuring, something friendly, but I didn't. The next morning, I spoke with HR. I explained everything: the messages, the gift, the photo, the waiting outside. They took it seriously, more seriously than I expected. Apparently, Melissa had already been spoken to once before about overstepping boundaries with another employee months earlier. By the end of the week, she was gone. Her desk was cleared, her name removed from the directory, just an empty chair where she used to sit. For a while, things went back to normal. The messages stopped, the tension faded. I thought it was over. Until about 2 weeks later, I received a notification on social media. Someone had tagged me in a photo. It was a picture of the office building, taken from the parking lot, posted only minutes earlier. The caption read, "Some friendships don't just disappear. I hope you're obsessed with Nightmare Central. We're obsessed with you." This was Nightmares of Obsession. Sleep carefully.